Perfect.
Chris, are you in St. George?
I'm in St. George tonight. Yes.
I'm headed down there for Thanksgiving. We've rented a house down there. We have several of our children and their families going.
Do you know where your house is going to be?
I don't, my son did it also, I don't really know.
In my neighborhood, actually, they've got about a quarter of it sectioned off. They're all brand new Airbnbs. It's kind of a hot place to go. Be nice to shake your hand face to face. You come down.
Almost done.
Yeah. It's going to be 61
It's
degrees.
a five bedroom house,
It's a big one.
yeah.
We just got back from there, rented an Airbnb at that, you know where that beach place is? Down there where they built that great big lake.
But you should have come shake my hand. I'm 3 blocks up the road, Mike.
You're kidding me, we were
Yeah.
there.
We're in Desert Color. That's the area.
Our grandkids were in a mountain bike race
Yes. Yep.
out by the airport, so.
I was walking out of church on Sunday and ran into Doug Pender and 2 other people from Woodland Hills. They bought a house down just about 4 blocks the other way.
Wow.
It's kind of a hot spot right now.
Well, we are the committee tonight.
Yes, do we have an update on New? I heard that he resigned.
He did. So I'll call the meeting to order and just announce that Newt Adams, we just received his resignation 2 days ago. So the mayor and I have been talking, and I spoke with Newt, and I just will go on record to thank him for his good service. Think the world of Newt. And he served us well here, and he's going to be missed.
Yes.
We're in discussions with an individual right now that might be willing to join us, has a accounting background. Drew Jorgensen. You know who Drew is?
I do.
So we're in discussions with him right now. He has not committed yet. And he wants to know a little more about it and the time commitment and things like that. So I'll probably be talking with him tomorrow.
Tell him the pay is great.
Yeah, telling the pay is really good, so. So between us here, I will call for an approval of the September 28th minutes.
I move that we accept those.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, and Janet seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Alright,
Aye, thank you. Chris, we'll turn the time over to you on our latest budget numbers.
Excellent. I'm just gonna pull it up here on the screen. And these are the numbers that were emailed to you guys a couple weeks ago. These are the numbers through September. We're working on closing out October right now. The council did open up the budget and make some adjustments, which we're going to do again here shortly. As soon as we receive the sales tax actual numbers for this calendar year, we should have some better numbers. First, the second week in December, there's already several people needing any additional funds that we have there. There's some needs within the city. So the mayor's, well, you know, from police to some other things going on, the mayor's just waiting for us to get a better number. We have budget $857,000, but in that $857,000, we just, once again, don't know how many homes had closed, when they closed, and how much the property taxes from raw ground to physical home will be collected. So once again, we'll get our first notification in December and then our second one in February, letting us know we do have several residents that don't pay till January 1.
Chris, while you're on that subject of property tax, I'm not sure how much the county got out of the tax increase, but mine went up 12%. It was pretty
that
substantial.
overall.
Pretty, yeah, and I looked at it, it looked like Nebo School District got most of it,
Yes,
but the city got a little bump, but not very much.
We tried to pare that down and not ask for a lot.
it's very, very minimal this year.
But boy, it was a big hit this year, wow.
I had a,
The over 50,
Over
what Bob paid,
over $50,
50%,
50%.
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
That's quite.
Well, mine went up over $1,000.
And it's still, I didn't go contest it because it was still quite a bit, the valuation was still quite a bit lower than what I paid for the house, so. I don't know what I would argue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so in these increases, Chris, we're expecting to get a little more money, correct?
That would be the hope and the expectation, yes.
I have a hard time understanding in the whole scheme of taxes, when new homes are built. That to me brings in more tax revenue to the community. Is that not right?
Correct. These are the ones that were trying to,
Like,
yes. So if they closed on closed on July 22nd, then we do receive a greater portion of the property tax from July 22nd on, but before that, it was considered raw ground, which is taxed at less. However, I have 2 acres up there still, and my property tax was $3,500.
I
The
know,
house we used to own was $5,500, and it was valued way higher. So I don't know where the county's coming from.
yeah, I had the same issue and I went in and fought it, but. It's hard to fight the county on those numbers
Yes,
because it's so, it's subjective. It's not objective at all. It's a lot of it's subjective to what they. Like she said, my property had a view.
what?
And I said, no, it really doesn't have a view. She said, yes, I've been on it. And I said, well, if you've been on it, then you know it doesn't have a view. But
She said, oh, but she had gone like from property to property then. Oh, weird.
yeah,
evidently,
sure, I believe, I don't know how she could anyone could ever remember
How would she remember
one
that
property
she's?
from another.
I
By
think
name,
it's just Woodland Hills in general, she probably was thinking, right?
but anyway, that's, that's pretty good news for the city. It gets a little more money than when we have more houses. We're closing on lots of houses, it looks like.
yeah,
there's some being sold too, and that those will likely get a little bit of a bump when they sell. The city or the property tax could go up.
yeah. And if the assessor came out and assessed, they usually assess about every 3 years. So if they came and assessed this year, it could be valued higher,
Yeah,
which is good and bad.
Yeah,
I will tell you, this is not just obviously related to us in Woodland Hills or Utah County. Mark Anderson with Zions Bank, he's a VP of Public Finance. He does a lot of our bonds for us. And he knows I've moved to St. George. So last night he had a dinner with all the city managers of Southern Utah. And I was able to go to that dinner last night and rub shoulders with like Tokerville, who has 12 employees, all the way to Washington County, who has 250 employees, and everybody in between, and be able to glean some of their ideas and some of their thoughts, especially because of employees. I think Jody made the announcement last council meeting that 40% or 60% of all recorders in the state are quitting this year. They're done. And these people here in Southern Utah are finding the same thing. They're just having a hard time keeping employees or getting qualified employees. Property taxes are a big issue. St. George had a huge truth in taxation that got shot down, and they wanted minimal increase in rates. But people are just fighting tooth and nail. They want all these services, but don't want to pay for it. It's just kind of an interesting dichotomy that we're in at the moment. But anyways, the budget's pretty good. The one thing that we are going to look at in January, we have a new requirements that the state has put upon us on our snowplow drivers driving the big orange truck. You now have to have a certain class of CDL to drive that. Dylan Dewey, who's one of our CDL one of our drivers, has offered to go through the class. Class is $4,000, which is ridiculous, but he's offered to go through it and put the time in to do it. So we got to open the budget for that, for this city celebration line that we've been kind of communicating about tonight. There are some employee financial wages that need to be trued up a little bit, because we've had, once again, the lawsuit and some other things causing some overtime. So we'll open the budget up again in January. It won't be too great of a swing, but yet there will be some swing. I do want to bring to your attention, though, the lawsuit. As of this budget, we were 25% into the year, and we're 70% into the lawsuit, and there's still more coming.
having dealt with lawsuits for much of my career, Chris, there's always peaks and valleys, so there's times when it ramps way up and there's a lot that goes on in big bills. But then there's sometimes a lull, even as much as a year at times. As the courts get bogged down or as things get postponed, motions are made. Are we in a phase right now where it's just gonna be real active for a while?
It's
So we
right.
have, yeah, there's 6 or 7 lawsuits going on right now. 3 of them are active that the attorneys are having to put, I can't remember the terminology, but they've got to get the paperwork ready the arguments ready because the defendant or the plaintiffs have said one thing. Now the defendant, we have to respond, and then the plaintiffs get to respond again. So we've got 3 of those actively going on at the moment. But a couple of the other lawsuits, they're yeah, a little bit in a lull.
Are these from different individuals or all
No.
the same individuals?
They're not new, are they? They're still just the ongoing ones.
Correct.
Yeah, we, at one time, didn't we have something like 7?
Yeah, it seems like one may have gone by the wayside or got merged into another one or something.
Yeah, we got combined. But a few have been, one was just dismissed with prejudice, which was good. And then another one was dismissed but not with prejudice, so, and then, I don't know, they've got some appeals. We tried to do what's the word, where we met, it was very expensive. Mediation.
Mediation.
Through the
That
planning.
cost us a lot of money because you had to have certain experts there, you had to pay for their time, plus all the attorneys.
But nothing came out of it.
Yeah, I've seen the mediators be $4,000 an hour.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very expensive, but their narrative was that we weren't willing to mediate, right? And
Oh,
so we had to
so
try.
you did that to debunk that claim.
Well, and also in the hopes that maybe we could make some progress. So,
Yeah, this last one we went to was some state people on a committee, and they're formed with professionals that deal with land use and those kind of things. Their decision's final. You can't even go to court on it. So once they decide, there's no appeal on either. So if we lose, we lose. If you just lose, they lose, and nothing can be done on that one particular aspect of the lawsuit.
So in a brush stroke on this, Chris, what does this mean for us financially?
Well, so we did, like Tim just said, we had about a $50,000 bill come because we were ramping up for this mediation. We're anticipating that things have slowed down a little bit. We meet with the attorneys every Wednesday, and just by virtue of our meetings with them are less, only 15-20 minutes instead of an hour or 2. Things are kind of in that lull stage, but yet we're still getting bills from them for $11,000 to $20,000 a month. So we're, and that's just us. There's also the insurance is paying a different portion. They've allotted up to $100,000, and that's the max they're going to go. And they've already told us that. We're waiting for a report to see how high they are. We know they're above 50,000. So this is going to be $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 before we get some decisions.
So when you say insurance, we do have insurance that will cover some of this.
very limited.
On a different aspect, we're not even running it through our books. The insurance company's picking it up completely. So as the $103,000 that we've spent so far, that's out of the coffers of the citizens. And then there's another,
Nothing going through insurance.
correct.
We're not putting it through because we don't think they'll pay it, or?
No, because there's another set of attorneys that are, so all the lawsuits have fallen and been subjected to our insurance company. So we filed through the insurance company, make a claim. However, we still have Corbett and Jody and Craig and everybody's having to do work on our side for another portion of the lawsuits. So I think the land use portion is being handled by the Utah Local Governments Trust, but all the other lawsuits are being handled internally.
So I had heard that they had sold the home.
No, they were under contract, but it was contingent, so their buyers had to sell their home. And they weren't able to, so it fell out of contract. And they've
Just the one
lowered,
on Woodland Hills Drive.
and they've lowered the price a couple times. I think it's at $8.99. I look about every 2 or 3 days. Just to see if it's gone back under contract. Because that's what I do, right? So I logged in to look and it's not.
It's a
And
tough,
now's a hard time. People
Yeah.
don't, it's hard to sell a home in Woodland Hills in the winter. It's cold and snowy and so,
so that would be my quick overview of the budget right now.
I know it's impossible to predict lawsuits, but where do you think we are on it? Are we nearing the end? Are we in the middle? Are we on the front end? No idea.
I need to be careful, Jen, I need to be careful because we've been in some closed sessions. So it might be best to say, I would guess we're somewhere in the middle-ish. Janet, I don't know what your thoughts are.
yeah, we had some discussion, and this isn't anything like I'm just thinking like of what I'm saying, but if their home were to sell, according to some of the attorneys, that would actually take away a lot of their arguments. So several of the lawsuits would potentially drop away. And I think that's one of the reasons that we were maybe excited. Not that we wanted them to go, but just that it might take away some of the lawsuits and some of the financial burden on the city. But now, you know,
Well, that's our main concern as a committee, is the financial part of
right,
it.
and so now that it's probably not gonna sell, I hope it does, but it probably won't till spring.
Yeah.
That doesn't come into play anymore, so.
Well, I don't know anything about the individuals, but there's two sides. I mean, the costs on the other side are probably just about as high.
They are representing themselves for a lot of
They
it.
don't have a lawyer.
Oh, they're defending themselves, okay.
They do have a lot of professionals, though. They've got several engineers that are in their camp and helping, trying to, argue their case. So I'm sure there's some outlay there.
Yeah,
Plus, every time you file, there's court fees and all the
yeah,
things.
and you'd think that maybe, I mean, I've seen about half the time that these drop away because there's not a certain outcome, or you don't expect that there'll be a certain outcome and you don't have the resources to take a chance.
Well, keep us posted on the financial end of it, Chris, and what kind of impact it's making on our.
So Chris, what do we do? Once we use it all, then what do we do?
We have to open up the budget, start changing things around, or yeah,
Well, you have to reduce
Hard decisions.
somewhere.
Yeah,
It probably comes out of that road, doesn't it? Can it?
to cut roads, cut fire, maybe look at cutting police, cutting park. There's just so many different places that we would have to just really consider.
Okay.
Hard to say exactly where.
If you would keep us apprised, that's probably a big issue right now because it's unexpected. It's expected, but it's really, you can't predict it, so.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Chris, you want to talk to us about the leasing opportunity through United Fleet Services?
Yep, we're gonna go ahead and pause on that, so we can remove that from the agenda right now.
Oh, we're gonna pause on it.
Yeah, Craig came back, and for him personally, he feels it's not something he wants to do for the fire, especially with what's going on with the lawsuit and some other needs of the money right now. So his recommendation for fire is to pause, and I think the mayor's taken that same approach. Corbett looks good as a 2000
Mayor and who?
and
Chief.
Craig.
Chief, okay. I do have a report on the security cameras. Craig did get to me on that. He indicated that all the fiber has been put into the ground. And the next phase is to install the cameras. That should be done by the end of this month, possibly. So we're in good shape there. So I'll just let you know that.
So do we know, so the fiber's in, but we don't have the cameras yet. Do we know
Cameras
the
are
time
running.
frame?
Yeah.
They're purchased, aren't they?
I think so, yeah.
I thought that was in the front meeting, we talked that they'd been purchased.
Yeah, Chris, have they been purchased and paid for?
So yes, I was actually there. We were having our city audit, and the gentleman came up, and we went around to the water tanks, the park, and the mailboxes. And there was fiber missing, but now it's installed. He has more than half of the cameras in stock. It's the specialty cameras that are called point tilt zoom or something like that, pan tilt zoom, that move. And so those ones he has to order. He don't want to order them and just sit on them because it's been a year or so. So he is ordering those, and plus he has to order some boxes now that get put around the telephone pole now that we know where the fiber was run to. And so he's ordering all those things. I have not had an update since last Wednesday when we met with him.
So did I understand correctly, though, that the expenditure for the cameras has already been made?
We've put half down.
Half down, okay.
All right, so that's it on that. I put down a capital expense plan discussion. The reason I did that is I think we need to be thinking out a little ways on capital expenditures like snow plows. Those plows probably in the next 5 years are gonna need to be replaced. We just need to be thinking about that and planning for that from an expense standpoint.
So Mike, the leases are up. This is the last year for the lease, so we will need to start hitting that probably in the spring, maybe even sooner. Believe it or not, we're in year 3 of that lease.
Are we in year 3?
Yep, we're there.
I haven't been on this committee that long now. I guess I have. Wow. Wow, that surprises me.
Yeah.
So then, well, I'm gonna keep this on the agenda. That's the main topic. Is there any other things that we need to be thinking about from a capital expenditure point of view? City council, Janet, do you have any?
Just the shortfall for the road that we're trying to get done.
And we have phase 2 and phase 3 of the water line that maybe needs to be considered. It was going hot and heavy for a while, and now it's kind of come off the table. And I don't want to be caught again with all these repairs and that. It might be wise to have Corbett come in and talk to us about that. On what he thinks on these phase 2, especially phase 3, I think. We're years out on that. That's the area that we live up, yeah.
And it's newer, right?
And it's newer. But I think phase 2 is still got a lot of some of the old pipe in it. Am I right in that, Chris?
Dave was the one that was on top of all the different phases, and they've changed them around so much that I just kind of lost track of which phase was what.
I think I'm going to have Corbett come in on our next meeting. Would that be acceptable for everyone to kind of address that with us? Okay. And that's our next thing on the agenda. Is there any other items of possible discussion that we need to discuss tonight?
I think Chris addressed mine for me and answered them, and it wasn't necessarily a committee question, but since it was the finance committee, I wanted to ask about that, so. I think Chris took care of that one. You guys should be CC'd on that email. So
Did you see
Yeah,
it was kind of a minor thing,
Yeah.
but it's just with the economy and the way a lot of people. Even Summit Creek has been pretty good to donate in the past, but they haven't sold any lots or homes in a while. So even they are tightening their purse strings. So it's just getting harder to get donations.
In one of the emails mentioned you're gonna reach out to Capital Community Bank or something.
I was going to ask Chris for that. Did you see that, Chris?
Yeah, and I'm thinking it might be a little too soon because we've only really been putting money in that bank account for a month.
Okay,
But next year, absolutely, I think we ought to hit them up. And matter of fact, Capital Community Bank, and this might be a good discussion. So we invest a lot of our money at the state public treasurer's investment fund. It's called the PTIF. So we put our little paltry $2 million in there, and we get to invest with 200 million from Salt Lake or whoever puts the big money in, and we get the same interest rate. Right now, it's up in about the 4% range. Capital Community Bank, when we first opened the accounts, I told them about this PTIF, and they said, let us see what we can do to be competitive and hold your money down here. So they got back with me and said, we will guarantee you liquidity, because our money, we can get it the next day. It's never a problem to get our money. We don't have to sell assets, we don't have to sell bonds or anything. Our money's just liquid. Capital Community came back and said, look, we'll give you the same rate that they're giving plus 0.25% on top of that and give you the same liquidity. And they think they have a way to continually insure it under FDIC. It was $250,000 by doing some sweeping behind the scenes. But they said that they would like to compete for our money. I'm like, hey, if they're going to start fighting for money, that's pretty awesome.
that is.
Well, that's what happens when interest rates go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need the deposits.
So, Chris, are you saying we have, our money in a bank that's earning 4%? Are we going to?
Yeah, we know. So we do right now at the state of Utah, Public Treasurer's Investment Fund. The treasurer set this up years ago, the state treasurer, and they invest in whatever they invest in and use the public fund from all these counties and cities and schools and charter schools and stuff, and give us all a pretty fair, decent rate.
Good. What kind of interest will we be earning on that?
Let me look at it right now, see what it was last month.
It'll be above 4.
Yeah, I'm seeing those rates now, they're up there.
It was.
Mortgage rates actually came down, which is weird. They're I get a, like a rate sheet. 30-year was 6.49 today.
For mortgage,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So that's lower. They were 7.25. So it's come down. Which is interesting because the Fed raised rates, right, overall, but.
So our rate for October was 2.8614. So we would get about just over 3% interest last month if we moved it to Capital Community.
And they went up again. So I just got notice from Discover Bank that my money with them is now at 3.25.
Okay.
So I don't know. I thought the treasurer's rate was above 4, but maybe not.
Yeah, I just looked at our last month's statement and I thought it was too, to be honest with you. But anyway, so I'll bring that up to the mayor tomorrow in our staff meeting, and then it'll be maybe we'll be moving some funds around.
Okay. Any public comment? I don't know that there's anyone online. Can you see anyone on?
I don't see anybody.
Am I missing anyone? Okay.
No.
Pending date of our next meeting. What do you think, Tim and Janet, Chris?
What would our normal date
Been
be?
trying to hold it about every 2 months.
So January. Yeah.
I cannot do it the end of
I
January.
would say whatever lines up with. I mean,
Yeah.
tonight was a good night.
That last week in January, I'm going to be in Yellowstone.
Oh, good for you.
You coming to my cabin?
No, we'll be up in Gardner and
Oh, you're going up there. Okay, I'm in Iowa.
You snowmobiling in?
we'll be doing a lot of hiking and skiing.
Fun.
Oh, fun. Look at you. What about like the 17th?
That's a Monday. Oh, no.
That's Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
That works for me. My only restriction is Thursday. I can't do Thursday.
What day did you say, Jenna?
Well, the 17th kind of lines up with today, right? So that's like exactly 2 months. For it's not a city council night, so that's what I was thinking about is everybody else that has meetings.
Is there any other meetings that I usually have to clear those with Jody to make sure?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, because city council is the 2nd and 4th. And PTR is in there somewhere, but I don't know when I'm having. So we can check with Jody, but we could tentatively say the 17th.
Okay, are you okay with that, Tim? Okay, 17th it'll be. We'll put that on the agenda. Are you okay with that, Chris?
I am. I just sent Jody a text real quick, just see if she'll respond to us. Maybe we should start the meeting with the next meeting date, and then we can get an
In
answer.
response.
That's maybe a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So really
I
good.
just hate to bother her at night, when she's on her downtime, but
Or maybe we could pick a quarter at a time, or 6 months at a time, or the whole year, and just.
I'm okay with that too.
do that, say that again, Chris.
Set them out for 6 months.
Yeah. I'm willing to do that. You wanna do that?
Yeah, let's see what she says on the 17th, and maybe we can run the other dates past her. But when would you want to? So it's budgeting season.
When when we get into budgeting season, sometimes we hold a monthly.
Yeah, so the next one would be Valentine's Day.
The next one would be March, that if we go 2 months out. It'd be March 14th, right?
Yeah,
City's conflict schedules there.
yeah. Cause we're the second and third for city council.
Hey Janet, are you on the Parks, Treks and Recreation Committee?
Yeah,
Are they officially sanctioned with the city?
yes,
So they have a meeting that night on the January 17th at 6. Do you think they'll be done by 8?
well, if I'm in there, I'll just make sure they are.
Perfect. So we could do it on January 17th.
Okay. That just makes a long night for me, but that's okay,
Okay, January 17th, we're okay,
sounds like it.
and March 14th, should we plan those 2 dates out?
Yeah, cause we can always change it if we have to, but.
Okay.
Although that's actually technically the second, March 14th is technically the second Tuesday.
It's city council night.
So it's city council, you'd have to go to the 21st.
That's better for me because March 15th is a deadline.
So
Yeah.
March to do the third Tuesday, because that's what we're shooting for, is the third Tuesday, you'd have to go to the 21st.
Okay, March 21st then.
Yep,
That's open.
Is that open?
For me, it is, yeah.
Okay.
Janet, do you see any conflicts, city council?
Not that I'm aware.
Committee meetings or?
no, PTR, if they do have it, it will be, yeah, it'll be earlier, and they've been kind of hit and miss a little bit.
Well, that'll be good to get on the agenda and have at least 2 months out, so we'll do that then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
This meeting will stand adjourned.
We have to make a motion?
Do you make a motion
I don't
on city
think so.
council?
Yeah, we do, but you don't have to, I don't think.
So I think you just have to make a motion. Nobody has to vote on it.
Okay, awesome.
So we're good?
We're good.
Okay,
Thank you, Chris.
See you
Thanks for
guys.
coming today.
Craig,
Bye.
what's your phone number?
801.
Hang on just 1 second, let me get it before I can put it in here.
Don't disconnect him.
Oh,
I
I
could give it, I could give it to him. if he
Okay, I'll
told
get it from Janet.
Okay, all right, see you guys.
me.
Bye.
Don't do it. Let me look him up really fast. You know, when you get put in, you